You have no idea how close today came to not having a Jimquisition. The week I've had has been amazing. Aside from dealing with certain proceedings, I've been juggling Quantum Break and Dark Souls 3, trying to get those reviews up. I was up till 2 AM last night, making sure that the Dark Souls 3 review went up. Not slept too well. The script that I had written out for the main bulk of today's episode got wiped, so I had to rewrite a completely different topic, and basically that's why we're late today, among other things. It's been a nightmare, but to my knowledge, I've never missed a Monday. I may do one day, but today ain't the day. And actually, I think the episode I put together is surprisingly good, so I'm quite pleased with it. And it's not about Steam being shit, or AAA publishers putting microtransactions in things, so it's a bit different. So that's good. And it's not about Dark Souls. All those episodes are coming. Got like a million of them. I'll probably just do one. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking now because I'm running out of battery on my microphone and I don't need that going wrong today, so enjoy, please. Please. Rumours abound of incrementally updated consoles, with talk that a PlayStation 4.5 or an Xbox 1.5 could be right around the corner. Rather than launch an entirely new system to keep up with the ever-changing technical demands of modern video games, suggestions hint that Sony and Microsoft are considering a similar strategy adopted by Nintendo and the new 3DS, a more powerful system, but not an entirely new system. The PlayStation 4K is the name given to Sony's offering, outed first by Kotaku and backed up by Eurogamer. According to reports, it's the PS4 you know, with a bump in power and the ability to run games at a 4K resolution. Sounds swanky, right? Eurogamer claims to have verified this intel, claiming outright that the PS4K is definitely happening. Meanwhile, Microsoft has been hinting at potential upgrades for the Xbox One, but has been coy when pressed for details. MS's premier blazer and t-shirt wearer Phil Spencer has gone so far as to say he doesn't even like the idea of an Xbox 1.5, seeming to suggest that the next Xbox machine would be a full-fledged system evolution rather than an incremental update. I'm not a big fan of Xbox 1.5. If we're going to move forward, I want to move forward in big numbers, old Spengler suggested. I don't know anything about any of the rumours that are out there, but I can understand other teams' motivations to do that. For us, our box is doing well, it performs, it's reliable, the servers are doing well. If we're going to go forward with anything, like I said, I want it to be a really substantial change for people, an upgrade. It's rare that I find myself agreeing with a Microsoft talking head, but I have to say I've got serious reservations about this talk of a PlayStation 4K. Not that I think the idea itself is inherently bad, not at its core, but I simply don't trust platform holders enough to believe that any sort of 0.5 update will be a good idea that works to the best interest of both customers and game developers. History has shown that add-ons or updates to existing systems just don't work the way they should, thanks mostly in part to a fear of splitting up the user base. Take the new 3DS for example. It's a great system, notably superior to the old 3DS, but how many games do you see actually taking advantage of that? As far as I can tell, and I could be wrong here, there are only 6 games exclusive to the new 3DS, and I didn't even know there were that many before I checked, because the only 2 worth talking about are Xenoblade Chronicles and The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, 2 games that are themselves re-releases as opposed to original new 3DS titles. We can bump up these numbers if we include SNES games, which can only run on the later system, but even then it's hardly worth celebrating. Other titles of course benefit from the new 3DS. Hyrule Warriors Legends, for example, can't run in 3D on an older system because it chugs like bloody fuck, and titles like Super Smash Bros. And Majora's Mask 3D have extra features. Still, those who may have expected to enjoy a whole new world of improved games with the new 3DS might be reasonably disappointed by the end result. The reason for this is quite simple. No platform holder wants to split their user base across multiple systems, so Nintendo would never dare push too hard by making a ton of stuff exclusive to the new 3DS. This is an industry that plays it safe to a fault after all, so no developer would want to take the risk and develop a game for a system that can't reach the maximum amounts of players. The new 3DS did fantastically, but the old 3DS is still in millions upon millions of hands, and you'd have to be an idiot not to try and reach those hands as well. Hence, only a smattering of exclusive content on the new 3DS, enough to tempt a good portion of the audience, but not enough to break your entire audience into different distinct casts. We saw this with Kinect, Microsoft's ill-fated motion tracker and NSA wet dream. There was a decent little assortment of Kinect exclusives, though most of them were shovelware shite, and that Fable game was totally on rails, no matter how much Peter Molyneux lied and said it wasn't a fucking charlatan. Anyway, few major developers ever seriously committed to the Kinect, since like the new 3DS, it was an addition made long into the system's lifecycle, and you were looking at catering to a guaranteed verified audience versus a smaller unknown audience. Who was willing to take that gamble? Well, producers of shovelware crap and people who lie about games being on rails, apparently. Microsoft tried to force the Kinect on us with the Xbox One, but by that point it was a lost cause, and Microsoft dropped it. Right around the time Harmonix was working hard on the Kinect exclusive Fantasia, I might add, royally screwing them over by breaking that user base up and demonstrating to everybody that it's a bad idea to make games that are not just exclusive to a platform, but exclusive to a platform's platform. That's Nintendo and Microsoft covered. What about Sony? Well, when it comes to supporting hardware, I don't trust Sony further than I can fucking throw it, and I can't even throw a beanbag because I'm so fat and weak. Sony's history of lackluster support for new hardware is well known. Do I need to mention the PSP Go? I know Sony will never mention it. Fucking never again. Or how about the slow, painful withdrawal of support for the PlayStation Vita, a promising and powerful handheld that Sony all but abandoned? Vita TV, the Xperia Play, the commitment to 3D TV, it's the future. The PlayStation Move controllers that were totally forgotten about and barely supported until Sony worked out it could use them for PlayStation VR, and who knows how well the PSVR will do. I love the idea of it, but Sony's track record means I can't ever be hopeful for PlayStation hardware that isn't a definitive console entry for a new generation. It's the only thing you can reasonably expect Sony to remain interested in. The company is basically a fucking magpie, attracted to shiny things, and it'll drop whatever it's doing in the moment to chase some other fad. So, I can't say I'm excited about the prospect of an Xbox 1.5 or a PlayStation 4K because I don't trust the platform holders to do what's necessary to realise the potential of such systems. And it's hard to blame them, in many ways their hands are tied. You'd have to be fucking stupid, as I said, to start producing games exclusively for a single version of a console when you can produce it for all versions. Very few publishers are going to be convinced to make PS4 games that take full advantage of the 4K supposed power bump, because they'll want parity with the original PS4 and access to all those buyers still using it. And that's the keyword right there. Parity. It's the reason we see a lot of PC games held back graphically in order to make the console customers not feel left out. It's the reason so few 3DS games are taking full advantage of the new 3DS's capabilities. It's the reason Kinect isn't around today. Well, one of the reasons, because let's face it, the thing was total bollocks to begin with. It'll be interesting to see how customers would respond to the idea of a PS4K, that much is true. One of the big advantages of console gaming has always been the lack of a need to consistently upgrade one's system, and the knowledge that the games you're buying are designed to work on a single unified platform, and therefore require no additional thought on the part of the end user. These rumours change that, and could potentially alter the games market forever. That is, if the industry embraces the idea of console improvements wholeheartedly, which I just don't see them doing, because this is the game industry and nobody ever wants to rock the boat too much. So I guess we'll see what happens, but whatever does occur, to be quite honest, I'm not expecting much. In a way, I would like to be proven wrong on this whole thing. The idea of a PlayStation 4K, at its core, is interesting. I mean, as I said at the beginning of the show, I reviewed Dark Souls 3 recently, you can check that out on the Jimquisition.com, and I rated the PS4 version lower than the PC version because it runs at 30 frames per second, and even then, there are quite a few frame rate dips and slowdown, and it's just a shame. And it'd be nice to play Dark Souls 3 optimally on a console, that would be cool, but we'll have to see about that, you know. Also, Namco Bandai, start sending your review copies via FedEx or UPS, you cheap bastards. USPS, you're the only one that do it, you cheap bastards. Sorry, I don't know what came over me just then. Thank God for me. All day, Dark Souls 3 was in my fucking letterbox and I didn't know. All day, you cheap bastards. still here. I'm going to show you a little bit of footage now. It's something that happened earlier this week, and it's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen, personally. It is one of my comedy heroes, Ray Peacock, conspiring with another comedian, a very funny, charming man called Barry Dodds, conspiring to get him to pretend to give me, yours truly, a blowjob, as thanks for my support for their podcast, The Parapod, which is on iTunes and all the usual places, and I highly recommend it. Anyway, that's that. And also, just for little Barry Dodds there, I hope it was as good for you as it was for me.
Look up at Jim.
Jim, I don't like this.
Oh, that might have turned him on more. That might have turned him on even more. Keep talking to Jim. This is Jim's face. Okay?
Hello, Jim.
Jim Sterling.
You all right?
So thank him for his...
Thank you. I really like the alien colonial marine stuff you
No,
did.
don't promote his stuff. Promote our stuff. So thank him for... That's how you do it.
What?
Thank him.
Thank you.
No.
What for?
Thank Jim for all his promotion.
Oh, Jim, thank you for all the promotion you've done for the Parapod.
It's made a difference.
Yeah, it really has made a difference.
And as a thank you... Oh.
And as a thank you...
I'm going to... Tell him what you're going to do.
Retweet your...
No. You're going to give him a little gobble. I'm going to simulate, so you can say simulate. As a thank you. Look at Jim. Look at him, Barry. Come on. Now make noises like you like it.
No, fuck off!
That's
180.
Weirdly, that's exactly what he would have done. That moment is exactly what he would have done at the moment of completion. He's not broken.
Yeah, thank God for the Parapod.